hello. Who's up for a quick peek at the view between two continental legs? Me too. Off we go then with this week's paper round. Champions League dominating things as you'd expect, in particular Wednesday's clash of cultures that was Milan-Barcelona. Tiki-taka against tiki-tackle. Well, the Italians, as you might expect, absolutely thrilled with the 0-0. The Spanish rather less so, but here's Thursday's Gazzetta anyway. Milan lives. Triumphant stuff, they say, and while the editorial does ask whether they should have done a little bit more against a Barcelona team that was having a bit of an off night, other Italian papers like La Repubblica and the Corriere della Sera going with a very positive "Si può fare," it can be done. Milan indeed the first side in more than 2 years to hold Barcelona goalless. We put Messi on a diet, says the Gazzetta. The Spanish, meanwhile, rather less impressed with things. What about this penalty, eh? Our sport. And they're not the only ones. Barcelona fans indeed up in arms over that and other decisions not given by the game's Scandinavian referee. I'm sure Chelsea supporters can sympathise with that feeling. Mind you, if there's one thing that they all thought was even worse than the referee, it was the San Siro turf, quite possibly the worst football pitch since they got David Dunn to advertise Venky's chicken. Barcelona indeed regarding it as grounds for complaint in a very real sense, the club forcing UEFA to open an inquiry into how the San Siro playing surface has fallen into such disrepair. Well, here the Italians actually agree. Milan's Vice President Adriano Galliani in the Gazzetta with "I agree," there you go. "If Inter are okay with my plan, I say we just replace things at the San Siro with a synthetic surface." Well, we can use whoever did Berlusconi, because that's wearing up pretty well. All sets up nicely anyway for the return match on Tuesday at Camp Nou, where, says El Mundo Deportivo, it's going to need something epic. Over there, a cracking picture of Alessandro Nesta's swashbuckling professional foul on little Leo Messi. So that tie very much in the balance. What, though, about Chelsea and Benfica? Are the Blues through? What do the Portuguese think? Well, similarly, they're rather up in arms about a John Terry handball that wasn't given, which ruined, says Record, Benfica's concentration. And now, says the paper, it's out of Benfica's hands. Oh, Abola don't agree, though. Nothing is lost, says this one. The Eagles should have had a penalty too, but we can do to them there what they did to us here, says the manager, Jorge Jesus. Very good. Speaking of Portuguese managers who call themselves Jesus, things are a little bit more cut and dried over at Real Madrid, where Mourinho and co are heading for the semis, and not just any semis, but what Marca call heart attack semi-finals. So much for their Muamba sensitivity. The opponents likely to be, of course, Bayern Munich. Why the concern about that? Well, countless clashes between these two clubs in this competition of late, with Bayern putting the Merengues out on more than one occasion. Bayern are bang in form at the moment too, breezing past Olympique Marseille 2-0 on Wednesday night, as you probably saw. A result saluted thus back home. Build Bayern march on. Ooh la la, we're set for the semi. Süddeutsche Zeitung, from Bavaria of course, suggesting that Olympique Marseille manager Didier Deschamps looks like something out of Asterix, and taunting Bayern's domestic rivals Borussia Dortmund too, whom Marseille knocked out in the group stage. Of course, Borussia, this is how it's done. Well, while the Spanish bavair the Bavarians, one last thing for today, and it's back in Italy, where Inter have finally shown Claudio Ranieri the door, although if anyone knows where it is, it's him, of course. In his place, it's the youth team manager, Stramaccioni. Inter is yours. Brilliantly, Inter have managed to spin, throwing in the man who coaches the kids as the third boss of their campaign, as a tremendously positive thing, mainly because said boss, the very day before, had the good sense to win a European title, the next-gen Under-19 Champions League series, which saw Inter beat Ajax Juniors on penalties in the final. Andrea Stramaccioni, the successful manager there, everyone now agog to see him work his magic on the slightly more seniors, whose captain, Javier Zanetti, is actually older than he is. The Gazzetta, anyway, Stramaccioni, Inter is yours, and plenty of Stra headlines all round, really, since it roughly translates as very or super. So we have, it's a Stra mission, he is a Stra moo, it looks a bit like him too, but the Gazzetta admitting at the end of it all, favourite for next season is still Stra Bielsa. Well, anyway, while Stramaccioni gets Inter being interim manager for Inter, we're out of papers for another week. We'll be back with a fresh bundle of joy, though, in 7 days' time. Do make sure you join us then.